On today's episode, we are going over life-saving items you can add to your vehicle for first aid in an emergency. So medical gear. First and foremost, get training. Training is the best tool as it will give you the understanding of how each medical device is used, as sometimes in the field or camping, you may not have all the gear you need and may need to improvise. Just to give you some context as to what makes me qualified to give any advice on the subject, I have about 10 years of experience with CPR first aid and AED training. I'm also certified in Stop the Bleed, as well as TCCC certified or Tactical Combat Casualty Care, which I would highly recommend anyone take if you want to know life-saving procedures that include stopping major arterial bleeding, advanced procedures like needle decompression for tension pneumothorax, triage in crisis situations, as well as what a tactical rescue response situation would look like. In the March protocol for TCCC, the focus for an IFAC or individual first aid kit includes typically a tourniquet, nasal pharyngeal airway or NPA, needle decompression or NDA, Gauze for wound packing or dressing, tension wrap or a Swat T, and chest seals for open puncture wounds. Now you can carry whatever you'd like, but I suggest carrying what you've been trained with. I'm only going over what I'm carrying and why. If you don't know how to use any medical equipment, I'll put links in the description below for where to find information for classes like basic CPR, first aid, stop the bleed, and TCCC classes. And to clarify, this is not medical advice. This is just an example of tools to load up with after you've got the proper training. So you can have a large, expensive first aid kit with all kinds of items included, but I've decided to have more compact kits in more places so there's always one nearby. Also, you want to make sure that some crucial items you're purchasing are from quality manufacturers and distributors like Blue Force Gear or North American Rescue. So cheaper is not always better in this case, but most items can be purchased from Amazon, but you do need to pay attention to their design and brand when purchasing. So I have multiple med packs I've decided to build, and each one has a purpose. First, I have a small Blue Force Gear belt kit meant for carrying on my belt, but I typically just attach it to my main kit. What's included in this small belt kit is my compression gauze for basically packing wounds or wrapping something up if I need to, and then some QuikClot. So this is a bleeding control dressing that has QuikClot in there that will help with the clotting for a large wound or something that's really bleeding badly. So I have this to get the bleeding stopped, and then I have some compression gauze to continue to get more pressure on that wound to make sure it stops bleeding. The other thing in this small kit is my NDA, my needle decompression for tension pneumothorax. This is just a really easy place to put it, but I have actually more than one. The reason why, sometimes if you're dealing with more than one victim, then you're gonna need more than one needle. This is a 14 gauge needle. This hasn't been opened yet. You typically will get these after training from North American Rescue. Next is my Blue Force gear that's a bit larger and is capable of being mounted to a loadout belt, but I typically just toss this in my work backpack. This kit has even more space for tools than the small one, and I'll show you what I've got inside this one. So I've got another QuikClot dressing. I've got my one-way valve chest seals. Now it's really important that you get the ones that have the number one. It's going to come with two. So it's going to come with your entry wound and exit wound for your chest seals. And the other thing is that not all chest seals are one-way valves on Amazon, for example. So you want to make sure that you get these kind, because the old kind are actually outdated. They still sell them on Amazon, but you want to make sure to get these ones. I've got my MPA, which is basically in the March protocol to get that airway opened up that goes right through the nose. It's got some lube that's attached to it and basically just goes right in the nose. It goes from basically the nostril down to the back of the throat. It keeps the tongue from pressing to the back of the throat to keep the airway open. I've got some more compressed gauze. I've got another needle for needle decompression. My Swat T, it's a compression band is what it is. It's like an ACE bandage, but there's no texturing to the outside. It's basically just like a big rubber band. Also have some gloves in here, which is handy to have, especially if you're dealing with blood. I also have a thermal blanket, and the reason why you want a thermal blanket is that for the most part, if your body drops 2 degrees below its normal temperature, you're going to start to experience hypothermia. And hypothermia, according to our March protocol, which is at the very end of March, which is part of the H, is something that will not allow your body to clot properly. So even if it's summertime and it's warm out, if somebody loses a lot of blood or a significant amount of blood, their body will get cold, and if it gets hypothermic, they won't clot, and you won't be able to stop the bleeding. So these are very important to have in your kit. Now, why would I have so many different options? The number one reason is accessibility. The higher the likelihood that I have any of my kits within reach, on my belt or in a backpack or on my vehicle, this will allow me to deploy life-saving tools if anyone around me needs life-saving care. It also doubles up on some tools that I may need more than one, like tourniquets. Then I have these two main kits here that are both Molle to the back of my headrest. One marked TCCC, which is my trauma kit for more serious injuries, and the red one is my boo-boo kit for more minor things. So as you can see, I just go ahead and put my small IFAK from Blue Force Gear on here, which has my needle inside of it. Since I already have one that goes in my backpack, my other needle goes in this one. On this kit, I have my tourniquet, which is a Cat 7, which is, you can get them through North American Rescue. They do have them on Amazon as well. You want to make sure you get the quality ones. They're typically around, like, cheapest $25, typically to $30. You don't want to get anything cheaper than that that's not certified. You just, it's meant to save your life. You don't want to really risk going on something that may be cheap that may break. The other thing that I have is a set of trauma shears. These are the Leatherman Raptor Rescues. A family member of mine is actually a trauma nurse in an ER center, and she has cut through zippers and the heaviest duty of stuff that you could think of with these particular shears, and that lasted her 2 years of service work in the ER. So these are quality ones. They also have a window punch on the backside here, so you can break a window, and it's right behind my head, so if I need it, I can grab it, boom, break a window if I need to. All right, so as I open this up, you can see that I have a whole bunch of stuff in here. I have more of these Mylar blankets. I have 2 sets of gloves in here. I have a wrap for my SAM splints. So these are really cool because they're aluminum inside. They have this thin piece of aluminum and they're wrapped in foam. So you can make this into a splint for multiple parts of your body, an ankle, a wrist, your upper arm. You could do it for a collarbone break to make a bit of a sling, anything to make you comfortable. And it comes with this gauze as well. I've got another Swat T in here because there's no telling what kind of use you need this for. You could also double this on a small child as a tourniquet if you needed to. Typically the Cat 7 tourniquets will work up to a 5-inch for circumference for even a small child up to 6 months old is what North American Rescue told me. I got some more wrapped gauze in my kit, and also a triangle bandage. These are good for using as a sling, for wrapping head wounds. Several other uses you could use a triangle bandage for. A couple of forceps if I really, really needed these. More Mylar blankets. I have my pen, because obviously when you're writing your time on here, because there's a certain amount of time that you can have a tourniquet on for, that goes anywhere between 2, 4, or 6 hours. And the longer that it's on, it's more important for the surgeons and the trauma ward to know the amount of time that it's been there, because after a certain amount of time, there's certain procedures that have to take place if it comes off, if it's been after 6 hours, for example. And then in this back pocket, I have more gear. I have, again, another MPA, and then I've got a small child size for my kids, just in case they need something. Another QuikClot dressing, chest seal, just in case I need another set. And then I have some basically wrap tape to tape things up, and basically a trauma bandage. It's an Israeli bandage is what it is. These are thick. You can actually unravel the center of them and use them as packing gauze, and then use the rest and just wrap it up. So really handy to have one of these thicker gauzes around too. So that is my trauma kit that I typically have always mounted in my truck, Molle to the back of the headrest. Now I'll go ahead and show you what's in my boo-boo kit. So boo-boo kits are nice, mainly because all this stuff is life-saving. You know, it's you're bleeding, you've got a collapsed lung, or that's leading to a tension pneumo. Whatever the situation may be, you need a tourniquet, you need some shears to cut through something to check out your wounds. This is mainly for, there's a couple of duplicate things inside here, but this is mainly just minor injuries, those kinds of things. So inside here, I'm kind of making this a little bit of a survival kit as well. I've got a lighter in here, basically it's electronic. Save me in a pinch if I have to light a fire and I need something extra, back me up. This thing holds a charge for a really long time. I've got more of the rolled gauze. I've got another small MPA for kids. I've got more of the Mylar blankets. I've got another set of SAM splints. Inside here, I have just a variety of aspirin. If somebody's having a heart issue, I have Dramamine for motion sickness, Benadryl if somebody's having a allergic reaction, which I don't have an EpiPen because they're expensive, but just going through first aid, you don't necessarily need an EpiPen in order, because they do expire eventually. In order to help somebody that's having an allergic reaction, you can keep Benadryl as kind of another safeguard to make sure that those antihistamines will kick in and just buy you some time until you can get that medical attention. I also have antiseptic wipes as well, just things to clean wounds if you're out camping or out in the field. And then in the back here, I have just an array of just different Band-Aids, different sizes, various types, a whole bunch of them. They sell these on Amazon where you can get like a whole box of them for real cheap, and then just throw them inside your kit. So this is mainly just a boo-boo kit. It's got medicine, it's got some small bandages. There is a couple of extra things in here, Mylar blanket, another SAM splint. I also did throw in some basically eye wash solution, and it's basically purified water. If you really needed to, you could clean out a wound. If it was super, super dirty or something, you could just spray this in there and get that out, or spray some debris that may be in your eye out. You definitely don't want to be pulling things out of your eye. You want to secure it and actually get to a surgeon if you have something stuck in your eye or if you have something stuck inside of a wound. This isn't medical advice, so you want to get training on it for sure. But yeah, and things we learned in first aid is you don't pull out things that are stuck in your body. You have a doctor do that. My Stop the Bleed kit. This is just one that sits inside my office, for example. You certainly don't have to have as many kits as I do. This is so I don't have to remember my kit whenever I leave the house or go to work or just having fun on the weekends. In any case, I'm ready to render aid in any situation, and even if I forget something, I typically have another one nearby. What I would suggest is first get trained and certified, as that will, one, get you the proper advice to use all your tools. Then I would buy the items for your kits. This is because honestly, I had no idea what was a good brand or the types of vices that are currently in use and not obsolete like the old chest seals still sold on Amazon until after I completed my training. So in order for you not to waste money and buy the right gear for your skill set, get trained. It's something that will give you the confidence you need to render medical aid probably for the rest of your life. Subscribe, guys, so you don't miss any new content. Like this video if it helped you out, and we'll see you in the next one.